Cheers, everyone. Dave Brown here with the New Populist. Thank you again for joining me. So, last night, Donald Trump indicated he received a target letter from special counsel Jack Smith over January 6th, which indicates that at some point in the future, he will be indicted. This is pretty much a guarantee at this point. They're going all out. There's nothing to hold them back, nothing to stop them. So, that'll be a third indictment. And then Georgia, that will be a fourth indictment. So, really historic times for just how far our government will go, and every norm has been destroyed. But I want to do two things. I want to show you just how corrupt our FBI is, and just how incompetent or complicit the Republican Party is. Because in all this, the Republican Party is pretty much useless. There are some things they could do to actually go after the Democrats and Joe Biden that they are not doing, and I'll demonstrate that later. But first, I want to show you just how corrupt the FBI is. And you've probably seen these clips, but they're worth seeing again in the context of the fact that Trump might be indicted for January 6th. So, two clips. Let's start with this first one right here.
Sandberg, I want to turn to the FBI. How many FBI agents or confidential informants actively participated in the events of January 6th?
Sir, I'm sure you can appreciate that I can't go into the specifics of sources and methods.
Did any FBI agents or confidential informants actively participate in the events of January 6th? Yes or no?
Sir, I can't answer that.
Did any FBI agents or confidential informants commit crimes of violence on January 6th?
I can't answer that, sir.
Did any FBI agents or FBI informants actively encourage and incite crimes of violence on January 6th?
Sir, I can't answer that.
Can't answer that. Was the FBI involved in January 6th? Can't answer that. Any of those questions. Now let's see Director Ray be asked similar questions.
Director Ray, does the FBI have confidential human sources? Did the FBI have confidential human sources embedded within the January 6th protesters on January 6th of 2021?
Well, Congressman, as I'm sure you can appreciate, I have to be very careful
guy's a
about
scumbag.
what I can say about when
Even
we are,
now, because that's what you told us 2 years ago.
May I finish? About when we do and do not, and where we have and have not used confidential human sources. But to the extent that there's a suggestion, for example, that the FBI's confidential human sources or FBI employees in some way instigated or orchestrated January 6th, that's categorically false.
Did you have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters inside the Capitol on January the 6th prior to the doors being opened?
Again, I had to be very careful.
It should be a no. Can you not tell the American people, no, we did not have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol?
Gentleman's time has expired.
You should not read anything into my decision not to share information.
Director Ray,
confidential human
gentleman's
sources.
time has expired.
So they can't answer these very basic questions. It's been 3 years. And the whole premise of January 6th is that, Trump supporters went nuts and tried to cause this insurrection. And the Capitol Police, the government, was undermanned, didn't have people there. But if there were FBI informants in the crowd, that would imply that the FBI had intelligence that something might happen. And if they had that intelligence, why wasn't more done to protect the Capitol? Unless, of course, the real goal was to have some sort of insurrection or riot at the Capitol, and then basically criminalize being a Trump supporter, which is what we all know is really the case here. There is zero reason why the FBI should not be able to answer these questions. And let me say this as well. I hate Antifa. Black Lives Matter. I would be absolutely livid if I found out the FBI had planted people in Antifa and was participating in any sort of violence, any riot. I would be 100% against that. The FBI should not be doing that. And apparently, our own senators can't get an answer from the FBI about January 6th and whether or not there are people from the FBI involved. I thought the FBI was under congressional oversight. It's a creature of Congress. Apparently, FBI can do what it wants, and even senators are powerless to stop the FBI. Or are they? Is there more they can do? I think there is, and let me talk about this. We have the Nord Stream. Tucker Carlson was talking to Nikki Haley about Nord Stream, and he said essentially, this is a big deal. Why aren't FBI, or I'm sorry, not FBI, but why aren't Republicans doing more about this? Listen to this short clip.
Well, speaking of energy in the military, who blew up the Nord Stream pipeline?
I mean, I don't know.
I'm not claiming you did it.
No.
I'm just kidding. No, I don't know. I mean,
That's what I'm saying. Do you know who did it?
seems pretty obvious. It was backed by the Biden administration, I would say. I mean, I think all
Look
the
at her
evidence
face.
suggests that, but I wasn't there. But I mean, that seems like a huge step. This is the largest industrial sabotage in history, sent more carbon in the atmosphere than any act ever. And like, there's weirdly no curiosity about who did
None.
it. And I think that's strange. Why do you think
There's
that
a lot of things that are strange with the Biden administration. This isn't
Fair.
the first one.
Let me deflect.
I guess what I'm really saying is if you were running against the Biden administration, to do something like that and shaft our closest allies in the world, which would be Western Europe, and deprive them of the energy they need to run their manufacturing sector and destroy their economy, which it is in the process of doing, like, that's a major sin to have done something like that. You just betrayed our allies, and no one on the right is accusing the Bidens of what they clearly did. So I don't know why.
Well, no one is accusing the Bidens aren't being accountable on anything. I mean, you look at the cocaine that was just
Let's talk
found in
about
there.
cocaine, not Nord Stream. So I play that clip again because I want to show that Tucker's pointing out something that I actually pointed out in a video a long time ago, and I'm not unique in this. It's pretty obvious. If the Biden administration was responsible for that, and that would be an act of terrorism, that would be something we could impeach Biden for. Why is no one on the right talking about that or doing anything about that? So we had these congressional hearings for the January 6th, and we questioned the FBI about being involved in January 6th. But why haven't we talked about Nord Stream? Why hasn't the Republicans done anything with Nord Stream? And remember, here's the article here from Seymour Hersh back in February saying basically the United States did it. We're responsible. And there was a deafening silence from the media when this article came out. They basically just ignored it. And then later they try to claim, oh, well, Nord Stream was done by the Ukrainians, and it was Zaluzhny, and they rented a boat somewhere in Germany, and it's obviously all BS and nonsense. But it became clear to the media at that point and the intelligence agencies that they couldn't just not say anything. They had to shift the blame. And of course, originally they blamed Russia. So the fact that they stopped blaming Russia and tried to blame Ukraine was very, very telling. They wouldn't do that unless they absolutely had to shift the narrative, which is get it off the United States and put it on Ukraine and Zaluzhny. And they even said in the article that President Volodymyr Zelensky was unaware of Zaluzhny's activities to clear him of any wrongdoing in the future, that this all needs to come crashing down. So very interesting how they responded to this article by Seymour Hersh. But the question again is, where is the Republicans? If you want to fight back, if you want to hold the Democrats' feet to the fire and go after Biden, where is the hearings by Republicans questioning officials in the Biden administration about Nord Stream? So in the article, it mentions William Burns, director of the CIA, as being part of it. Why isn't William Burns in front of Congress in the House being asked questions about Nord Stream? My guess is if they did this, he would not be able to answer the questions, which would be a huge tip-off. But again, why isn't he there? This is something Republicans could do to fight back against these Trump indictments and actually pressure Democrats and the Biden administration. It's not happening. Why isn't Jake Sullivan, the national security advisor, being questioned? Again, if you want to push back against the Democrats, this is where you start. And based on how he looks here, if there's anybody in D.C. with two bite marks and drained blood, probably this guy here. And of course, we have this beauty, Victoria Nuland, Undersecretary of State. She's been involved with Ukraine from day one. She was also involved in this project, according to Seymour Hersh in his article. She should be questioned under oath in front of Congress about her role in the Nord Stream bombing. These are things we could do to fight back, but they're not being done. And the question is, why? Well, two reasons. Republicans are terrible. Half of them are, complicit with the deep state to go after Trump, and they also agree with the bombing of Nord Stream, and perhaps they're scared of the intelligence community. But again, we have ways to fight back against the deep state, and our Republican Party is absolutely useless, and they are do-nothings, and that's why people say, Dave, why do you support Trump still? Because if they're allowed to get away with what they're doing, it's over. And that this will be the new norm. Anytime somebody who challenges the system or is bad for the deep state pops up, they'll just destroy them. We'll sit back, not do anything about it, and then they understand at that point, well, the American people have given up, and it's clear sailing. We can do anything we want. So that's why I support Trump right now, because this cannot be allowed to stand. And we've heard some of the other Republican candidates say, well, if I'm in office, I'll pardon Trump, and this is not good. That's all great and all, but we need more than that. I think at this point, I mentioned this before. I know people who like DeSantis don't want to hear this, but I think people like DeSantis should go, you know what? I'm 44 years old. I'm gonna stop running. I'm gonna support Trump, and because this has gone too far. Pushing back against this sort of injustice is more important than my own presidential candidacy and being president. So since he's up 50 points in the polls, 40 points in the polls, he's going to win anyway. I'm going to step back, let him run, and I'll endorse him, support him, and I'll try again in 2028. It'll be such a powerful thing for him to do, DeSantis or Haley or Scott or whatever. But they won't do that because, as we all know, even politicians, if you like, they're all off egos, and obviously Trump has his ego too. So I'm not saying he's not part of this, but that would be a massive gesture to really solidify support for Trump, solidify support for the rule of law and what our republic is supposed to be, and would really embarrass these people, Jack Smith, the Biden administration, these clowns, the DOJ, who are bringing these indictments. That'll be awesome, but I won't hold my breath. It's politics, and these people involved, even on our side, not the best. So, but again, call your congressman. Ask them, why aren't you having hearings to question the CIA director about Nord Stream? Put some pressure on them. Who knows? Maybe if there's enough pressure, they might actually do something. Probably not, but we have to try. Well, that's it for now. If you are new to my channel, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.